Since 1989, lottery tickets have been available in Idaho. Interestingly, it arrived by way of a voter initiative with the idea it would benefit Idaho schools. And from the beginning, it really kind of has. But in the beginning, it was set up so that the annual dividend was split evenly, like 50% is going to go toward public school maintenance and operations, and the other 50% would be for the permanent building fund. And that could include school buildings, but it was meant for the construction and maintenance costs of all state buildings. How much money is all that bringing in, I should say? Since 1989, the Idaho Lottery, that brought in $5.4 billion in revenues over the years. And from that, about 23 cents for every dollar goes to the annual dividend. And that's where this money gets broken up. So that means since 1990, the Idaho Lottery has chipped in nearly $2 billion to pay for public schools and permanent buildings. But it hasn't always been that 50-50 split. In 2008, the formula was changed to put 37.5% into public schools and maintenance, another 37.5% to the permanent building fund, and the remaining 25% to help pay off bonds and levies for school districts. So for the last 16 years, that's been the case. However, thanks to House Bill 521, that broad omnibus bill that was hung up in the Senate until the last days of the last legislative session, the formula on how the Idaho Lottery helps fund public schools is about to change again. Aspen Shumpert explains how and why.
The gamble of hoping you're the lucky winner. But where does the money raised from lottery ticket sales go? Of course, the lucky winners see it, but who else? For the last 34 years, a portion of the Idaho Lottery money has helped Idaho schools. Since 2008, the dividend formula was split for 37.5% to public school maintenance and operations, another 37.5% to the state's permanent building fund, and 25% to the bond levy equalization fund. But now that's changing. Part of House Bill 521, which passed this legislative session, reworks the formula for the school facility funds, where the lottery money goes. The portion of funds from Idaho's lottery will now split into just two categories. 62.5% will go to the public school district facility fund and 37.5% to the state's permanent building fund. With the formula rework, it also changes how schools can use the money. Before, lottery funds could be used to help school districts to complete building maintenance, repairs, and operational projects. Now the money
first goes to payment of existing bonds, payment of supplemental levies, and then payment of plant facility levies. So all of those expenditures, if they're all paid out and there's still money left over, they can go into a separate building fund which districts can use for building-related projects.
Leaving some school districts scrambling to find maintenance and operation funds or forced to make budget cuts.
And it's kind of a tough spot, but I think it's deeper this year we have COVID funds, one-time funds coming to an end, right? We've had the change from from enrollment to average daily attendance. So I think it's a lot of things coming in at once, and all those things together have been hard for districts.
So where do public charter schools fit in this? In the public schools maintenance and operations umbrella of the former lottery funds formula, that included charter schools. But with the language in House Bill 521,
the funds that charters are getting in the future are not from lottery funds directly.
But that doesn't mean charter schools aren't receiving funds. It's just coming from a different bucket. House Bill 766 restores the charter schools' facility funds through general tax to make sure charter schools are still getting the funding they need after essentially being cut out of lottery funds. Again, this is a time for when funding for schools is changing, and we're currently seeing districts work through their budgets and straighten out plans for next school year. Brian?
Okay, so I guess the bottom line here, Aspen, is 62.5%, the most that's ever been put towards school facilities and operations and maintenance. Is this actually helping schools?
You know, I think that's something we're going to have to watch, and it's going to be dependent on different school districts.
Okay.
Some might have relied heavily on maintenance and operation costs in their budget, and now they're not getting that same amount. So their plans might look a little differently than some other school districts who weren't relying on that. I think it's something that will be dependent on each school district, and we'll have to watch.
It's always been those rural schools that have had a hard time passing those bonds and levies. So, yeah, as you said, we'll just kind of see how that plays out. All right, thank you very much, Aspen.